Hi, I'm Kay. Loving acts of kindness is our way of life. And with this way of life comes a respect for family and friends. Respect for family and friends addresses the physical and social well-being. It takes into account the body aspect where we're mirroring each other from a spiritual perspective. It's about letting go through effective communication with each other. With this effective communication, it's really important that we begin to realise just how effective it is to use I feel statements as opposed to I think statements, which can lead to assumptions and various labels being put on people just because. So our 4 suggestions towards a respect for self within a loving acts of kindness way of life are considering a situation from others' perspectives, accepting the choice to make a change, letting go of assumptions through communicating clearly, and a forgiveness for others with situations where you may have felt hurt. Not only just that forgiveness for others, but the forgiveness for yourself as well, for feeling that hurt. So we come to our first suggestion of always considering any given situation or interaction from the other's perspective. Every interaction we have on a daily basis allows us an opportunity to learn and grow within ourselves. When we allow ourselves to be open to seeing it from the other person's perspective, then we're allowing ourselves to see life from a more centered perspective of being. So on one side we have a very selfish way of thinking where all you're doing is considering it from your own point of view and how you feel about it or how you think about it. Then on the other side you've got the more selfless where you're concerning yourself too much with what the other person may think and feel about the situation, so much so that you're not actually taking your view into account. So with the loving acts of kindness way of being is we're bringing ourselves to that centre and we're allowing ourselves to see it from our own perspective and also from the perspective of others. So through doing that, we are considering how they could be feeling. So asking ourselves, you know, what is it that they could have taken from that interaction? And how is that impacting how I'm feeling about any given situation? There's always 2 sides to a story. So just consider that these are possible feelings that another may have. You have no idea what that person truly feels or thinks about a situation unless you actually ask, and we will come to that shortly. So consider that they're all possible feelings, but just having that open-mindedness to allow yourself to consider those possible feelings from that other side of the interaction is really important in terms of allowing that respect for the family and friends to come into your life. So from seeing it from their side of the view, you're then able to come back into your centre and accept a choice to perhaps make a change. Perhaps once you actually begin to listen to yourself and question yourself a little bit more with that open heart. And this is something we touched on with the video Loving Acts of Kindness, Respect for Self. So that going inward and considering it, what all of your thoughts and feelings and emotions are towards any given situation. Perhaps the situation is that, once you do open your heart and listen to yourself honestly, you actually perhaps realize that, well, actually, maybe it was me. Maybe it was me who made the mistake. Maybe it's me who can accept responsibility for my own behaviour in a given situation. So once you start accepting that responsibility, you're rising above that blame notion in life where it's very easy to blame someone else for the perceived problems or challenges that you're going through in your own life. So instead of blaming that on someone else, you're actually coming inward and you're going, well, what can I do to actually accept responsibility for this situation on my own? And then within that, you're able to then open yourself to learning from that quite possibly unacceptable behaviour. We all make mistakes, we're human, and it's okay to be honest with yourself and say, oh look, I've made a mistake here, oh perhaps I've said something to that person that I could have done differently. So learn from that and then rise above, be the bigger person and apologise. There's absolutely no harm in apologising, and in actual fact it makes for much healthier relationships if we do allow ourselves to apologise from time to time, if we do allow ourselves to acknowledge that we are human and we do make mistakes. And so with those apologies is that wherever possible, I always bring it into the situation with my own children, because we do this on a regular basis, this accepting a choice to make a change, because I won't allow unacceptable behaviour. And I always say to them, when you're apologising to me, please look me in the eyes, because that eye contact allows me to connect with you on a deeper level. Now that's not always easy to do, and in some situations it could actually be perceived as quite intimidating. So be mindful of the situation. Allow yourself to acknowledge times when you can go deeper with that person and make it very personalised with that eye contact, or perhaps it's just not needed. Next step, obviously this comes into it with acknowledging if you perhaps do need to apologise, is allowing yourself to let go of the assumptions. Let go of the assumptions that come with making those I think statements. So when you go to someone and start communicating with someone and you say to them, well, I think such and such, such and such, such and such, it leaves you very open to be judged or to have miscommunication or assumptions being made. As soon as you bring in I feel statements, well actually I feel that such and such, such and such, such and such, no one can dispute your feelings. The other person involved or people involved cannot dispute how you feel about a situation. So communicate clearly and use your words wisely. And by learning to use those I feel statements, you really allow yourself to open up and stop those assumptions being made. Because your feelings are your feelings and your feelings are your own. They cannot be disputed. Remember, words can be like weapons, and we need to really be so mindful of that. You know, words hurt, and I know from experience, you know, how painful it's been at times when words have been used in a harmful manner. So choose your words with love. You know, be kind in the way you're speaking. Be mindful of the tone of voice you're using and your mannerisms, because energy says it all. You can be sitting in a room with someone, and when you really start becoming in tune with their energy, you just know how they're feeling and how you're presenting yourself in that situation. So be mindful of that. And through a time when assumptions are or have been made, and perhaps words have been said that have been hurtful or anything other, we come to our another suggestion, you know, which allows you to bring forgiveness into your being. Forgiveness for others involved in the situation, and more importantly, forgiveness for yourself. You know, it's one thing to be hurt by someone and to forgive that person for hurting you. It's another thing to go even deeper than that and allow yourself to actually feel forgiveness for the hurt that you've allowed yourself to feel, because no one else makes you feel pain and suffering. You allow that upon yourself. So within this forgiveness, you're able to allow yourself to begin letting go of past hurts. These past hurts, they'll never be forgotten. I mean, you remember how you've felt when people have said nasty things to you, or when you've said nasty things to others. So it's not as though you're condoning the behaviour. It's just that you're allowing yourself to let go so that you can then make a choice to either move on from the relationship, because let's face it, some relationships, they end, you know, with a situation where it's just been too much, and it's just, you realise actually this person isn't meant to be in my life anymore. So you move on from that. Other relationships are so important that you actually want to move through that relationship. So through that forgiveness and letting go, you're able to move through with boundaries for a new beginning, for an opportunity to go, hey, well, this relationship wasn't working for me like this, so let's try it like this. So you set those boundaries and you be clear within yourself what those boundaries are. And then when you know within yourself what the boundaries are, which allows you to move forward with that relationship, then that's when you can effectively communicate with the other person or persons involved for creating a new precedent, and for allowing yourself to see that change so that that relationship can actually work for you. So in doing so, you're breaking a cycle, because so often what we do is, when we don't effectively communicate how we're feeling or how we could change the relationship to make it more manageable long term, we begin this cycle, this constant replay tape where one person's getting hurt or the other person's getting hurt or whatever it may be, and it's just ongoing until you actually make that choice to make that change and effectively communicate what it means to make that change. Then that's when you end that cycle. That's when you can just say, no, I'm stopping that replay tape and we're trying something different. So we have been talking about a respect for family and friends, and through that respect for family and friends, we're looking at considering the situation, any given situation, from another person's perspective, accepting a choice to make a change, letting go of the assumptions that can come through not communicating clearly by communicating clearly, and then bringing forgiveness into your being so that you can move on or move forward. Relationships can be a real challenge, and it's one of those things where you have to decide within yourself, you know, which relationships are worth working for, which relationships are worth saving, because those relationships can be so incredibly beneficial in your life as well. So with that effective communication and the ability to let go of past hurts, you're allowing yourself an opportunity to have a greater sense of enjoyment within those relationships and thus within life. So, I mean, for me and my journey with love is that love is just so much better when it's shared. It brings so much more joy and happiness into my life, a brighter and more prosperous, you know, tomorrow. And I love waking up knowing that I have my family and my friends to share life with. So I know for me, it's really, really worth putting in the time, putting in the effort, and gaining that respect that's both sides. And we come to our usual concept now of life being about choices. You know, we're faced with choices every day, and in every relationship we're faced with choices. I know for me, life and loving acts of kindness allows me to just really embrace the choice to choose love, and to choose love in every moment. And it really is incredible. So I trust that you will embrace loving acts of kindness when it feels like it belongs within your being, and feel that greater sense of love within your life as well. See you next time.